Hey guys and girls, welcome back to another exciting episode of All About You. In today's video, I will be going over a new topic discussing Dragon Ball Super, the card game. This is going to be a little bit different because I will be going over a deck profile, but I will talk a little bit about what I kind of don't like about this leader. And the leader that I'm going to feature is Frieza. He was a great installment to the game. In this subset, he adds a new dimension to the game. So in his front side, he has an Awakener, where he's able to take a life. And then if you do choose to take a life, you can look at the top two cards of your deck and select one red Frieza army card and add it to your hand. Then the other card goes to the bottom of the deck. If you completely miss, they both go to the bottom of the deck in any order. He has a very interesting awakening, which is instead of your typical when you're at 4 or less, you restand 2 energy or you draw 2 cards, you restand 1 energy and you draw 1 card. Then on this side, he has the ability where when you attack, you draw a card. You are able to KO one of your red Frieza army cards. In that case, you discard 1 card from hand and your leader retains 5k for your turn and for your opponent's turn, which is great because in 2 turns, he's hitting 20k when he attacks at you and when he's defending, meaning when your opponent's attacking you. Now, this is a great effect, but the problem I have with this leader is one, it says red Frieza's army card. And that's something I really don't like. Anytime you build or design the deck that's geared for one type of way to play, it really limits options, it limits creativity. And the problem is that there's so many cool Frieza cards that are yellow or green that you can't incorporate in this deck because you won't be getting max value out of them. Their effects just won't work well with this deck. Like the 2-drop Frieza that came out in the previous set, his ability is when he's KO'd, you can bring out a Frieza card from your hand to the board 3 or less, which is really cool. But it's like, oh, well, alright, I could bring out a Frieza army card, but it's not really doing anything because your leader can't remove him off the board. That means you need another way to bring him out, or get rid of him for that matter. And that's the problem I have with this deck. It screams that it wants to be red-yellow because of cards like Cold Bloodlust, but you can't use them, which kind of sucks. And again, it's restricting your design capabilities. So we're going to go over a basic profile of the cards that they want you to play because that's pretty much what was released in this subset. And I'm going to go over why some of them are very good and why some are not so good. We run 4 Frieza Overture to Battle. He has the ability when he comes into play, you can give your leader card or a battle card plus 5k, which is nice. It's a pretty cool extra boost that you didn't have. Then he has a swap too, for free. He can swap into, at this moment in time, this Frieza, which he's very good in the sense that he's a 15k beat stick, and his primary effect, his permanent ability doesn't matter. During your opponent's turn, he becomes 5k less, but if you play smart, you're not going to leave him in rest mode. You're going to try to have him in active mode when you play him, unless you're playing against Shenron where you don't really care if he attacks or not. Now, he has a swap 3, but it only costs 1, so pretty cool. You get 1 free guy out, so for 1 energy, you go up to this level. And then if you spend 2 energy, you go up to Frieza Storm of Blows. When he comes out to play, he KOs a battle card 20k or less. Additionally, he adds Barrier, which is really strong because at least you know your opponent won't be able to easily remove him. Now, this guy has a pretty cool swap where it only costs 2. So if you're keeping up with the energy cost, you go from 1 when you play him to this being free, but then you have to pay 1 to upgrade to this. So we're going into a total energy cost of 4 if you go through the chain. And we go to It Hurts. Final Showdown Frieza. Now this guy is a very interesting card. He has the ability when your opponent plays their first battle card, you lose a life, but you're able to stop one of your opponent's threats. He's 25k, double strike, and critical. So that's pretty strong overall. You're forcing your opponent to make suboptimal plays. Moving forward, the proper super combo for the deck is 4 Strike Force Jace. Simple super combo. It goes back to the 0 cost, which I'm not a fan of, but when you have 5 or less, you can use it. It gives you 10k and you draw a card. Pretty self-explanatory and generic. Now, moving on to the way that they want you to play the deck, essentially, for what they came out with. For Strike Force Go, though. So, Red Frieza Army card, a 2-drop, which is pretty cool, and you'll know why soon. He has Barrier, which is a good thing. Auto, when you play him from your hand, if you have only red cards in play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and select a red Ginyu Force card with an energy cost of 2 or less other than this card and put it into play. Then you shuffle your deck. It's pretty cool because he's able to generate more guys on board, which is what you want to do. At least that's what the theme of this deck is trying to do. And essentially, you're able to do this for 2 energy at worst, or if you're using certain other cards, you can use it for pretty much free. The next card we're going over is Strike Force Birder. He's very similar to his predecessor, except his keyword is critical. So instead of Barrier, we have a critical guy. Auto, when you play this card from your hand, again, if you only control red battle cards, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and select a Ginyu Force battle card with a cost of 2 or less, except for Birder himself, and put it in play. Now you're going to notice the trend. All of them do pretty much the same thing. Moving on to Strike Force Raccoon. He does the same thing, but he has double strike and he can't play himself. Moving forward, the last piece of this Ginyu Force package is the Captain himself, which he is very powerful. When he comes into play, you give all your Ginyu Force characters 10k, which is great. That means that all your 10ks become 20ks, and he also gives himself 10k, which means that he's now 25, which is pretty awesome. Additionally, you can active main. You can choose to put him into your drop zone. In that case, you move it to your opponent's board, and you select one of their battle cards with 20k or less, and you take control over it. And if it was in rest mode, you restand it and place it into active mode. Nifty effect, pretty powerful card overall, and very essential for the Ginyu Force if you're running the package. Moving forward, we're running some of his henchmen for Dodoria the Expendable. Literally, he's expendable. His ability is he's a blocker, which is something you want to use. And when he is KO'd, you can play a battle card from your hand 2 or less, as long as it's Frieza, a red Frieza army card. And that's it. So again, he generates being able to play more battle cards like the rest of this deck is doing. And he serves as a blocker. Last but not least, we have Zarbon, which is actually one of my most favorite cards in the way that Bandai designed him. Zarbon Hidden Potential. Now, Auto, when this card is KO'd, you draw 1 card, and then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and reduce their power by 15k. What's great about that is that you can use this guy in conjunction with Captain Ginyu, and you can actually steal something greater. Now you can go after a 35k battle card if you reduced it by 15k, and you could take ownership of it. Pretty nice and nifty. But one of the best cards of the deck is him. But again, we're restricted to red Army Frieza cards in terms of being able to remove them due to your leader's ability, which is a problem I have. For the deck, we run 3 Frieza Spaceship, which is what I was going based off earlier. At the end of your turn, you can play a red Frieza army card with a cost of 2 or less, draw a card. So not only you can play a card from your hand at the end of your turn, you can replace your hand. So your hand is not really decreasing, it's staying the same. 3 is a pretty good quantity because you need to see the card in order to make the deck more operational, but you don't want to clog it too much with 4. Last but not least, we run 4 Paralysis Technique. Probably one of the best negates in the game. It's a counterattack. You negate the attack of one of your opponent's characters, and in that case, you reduce the power of your opponent's battle cards and your opponent's leader by 5k, as long as your leader is a red Frieza army card. And that's pretty great. Overall, you can reduce a lot of value on your opponent's board, and kind of shift the game state to being more favorable on your end. Overall, this deck has some pretty decent defensive capabilities, but the problem I have with it is that it's very restricted. This is a very good deck to use as someone new coming into the game. As far as being competitive, it has its place, it has potential. I believe because of the small design that they gave this deck in terms of how much you can do with what you're given, it's going to take more support in order for it to really see a mainstay in the format. But it's not bad. It has great potential and very good for new players to learn the swap mechanic in a more fair, balanced way, while being able to enjoy something simple to use. The deck isn't hard. You're basically free playing a lot of guys, and you drop Genyu, you give them all a buff, and you're attacking your opponent constantly. So it just promotes aggression, which is cool because most games will be going on very quickly as far as not, playing the defensive type of way. But the deck doesn't reward you for creativity. Running yellow in the deck, you would only be running support cards like Cold Bloodlust, Crusher Balls, stuff of that nature, but you can't really incorporate any yellow Frieza army cards because they don't go with your leader. So I kind of wish Bandai would have allowed that on this leader's effect. He should have read, in my opinion, you can KO one of your Frieza army cards, and in that case, discard a card and you gain the 5k for your turn and your opponent's turn. But they didn't do it that way, and I'm kind of disappointed because I feel like Bandai is there's moments where they come out with really fair cards, and then there are moments that cards are busted and you're just wondering like why are you making certain archetypes harder to use and kind of not making them strong enough while you make others just super busted and too strong. But that's a question that we always ask ourselves when we're playing, usually Japanese card games. But anyways, I hope you guys like this review. It's not so much of a deck that I would per se use. I've been having fun playing a list that's similar to this. And if you guys are interested, I will showcase a more refined list. But it's still restricted in the way that it can be used because of the fact that you're stuck with red Frieza army cards in order to get the full effect of your leader. Thank you all for watching. I am super happy. A lot of you guys been subscribing. I'm like super stoked about it. And we're going to keep ramping up the content. I'm going to keep having really more competitive related material. And we're going to have other card games on this channel. So prepare for a lot of fun, a lot of unique creativity, and of course, the best decks that you can build in this game. Thank you for watching. And as always, this channel is all about you.